Hey there, this is Women on the Brink. I'm your host, Chris Jeffrey, a registered acupuncturist and wellness advisor with a passion for helping women live happier and more balanced lives. When I'm away from work, I'm usually outside in nature, either walking the seawall or I'm hiking in the mountains. And like many of you, my life has been filled with moments of hardship, some that I thought I couldn't overcome and really left me questioning my own strength. But through these challenges, I discovered resilience, courage, and a renewed sense of purpose. So I'm here to share not just my journey, but the lessons I've learned, and to remind you that no matter what obstacles come your way, there's always a path forward. And just to let you know, this podcast is not prescriptive, it's an offering. So please take what resonates with you and leave the rest.
Hello, friends. Can you believe it? It's Women on the Brink's first anniversary. We're 1 year old. I can hardly wrap my head around the fact that we've been having these conversations now for 12 whole months. First of all, I really want to say thank you. I mean, truly, whether you've been here since the very beginning or you just stumbled onto the podcast last week, you're a part of this circle of women who have been brave enough to talk about the real stuff, the messy stuff, the beautiful, the hard, and even the hopeful stuff. This podcast only exists because you keep showing up and listening and sharing it with others. And I mean, what you may not know is that Women on the Brink really started about 3 years ago, way before there was a microphone and listeners. It began when I realized that I had to change several aspects of my own life that just weren't working. I had to look at the beliefs I was carrying around about myself, the boundaries that I wasn't holding with people who were close to me, a relationship that I knew wasn't right for me, and the scarcity mindset that was keeping me small. Those were my brinking moments at that time. And out of that personal reckoning came the seed of this podcast. And it's a place where I could talk honestly about what it takes to make shifts based on experiences from my own life and those of many other women I've worked with. And wow, I mean, we've gone to a lot of places together. We talked about the stress we women face daily and how it lives in our bodies. And we've explored what it means to be highly sensitive in a world that doesn't always understand that. And we've had conversations about stored emotions, about what we value, and about the courage to step into bigger lives. And we've leaned on humor and curiosity and stories, mine, yours, and those of our guests. So I really hope that these episodes provide a chance for you to pause and take a breath and remember that we're not alone when we find ourselves standing at the edge and staring into the unknown. And I've learned that when we lean into community and trust the universe a little more and stretch our comfort zones, that's when the real magic shows up. So, where are we headed in year 2? Honestly, I'm excited because there's so many conversations I want to keep opening up with you. More about navigating money and abundance, especially as women. More about sensitivity and intuition and what it means to live with awareness. More guests whose stories crack us open and make us laugh at the same time. And so please keep reaching out to me about the topics that are meaningful to you or guests you'd like to connect with on this platform. So we're going to take a really short break. And when we come back, I'm going to share my own transformation story, the story that inspired me to start Women on the Brink in the first place. And I'll walk you through the framework I've been living with, showing you how real change actually unfolds. So stay tuned.
Join us on our website for articles from our podcasts at www.womenonthebrink.net. There you'll find extra tools that can be used to raise self-awareness and build resilience. We want to make this experience as interactive as possible for you Brinkers. So join the forums, introduce yourself, and share your stories.
So, as we all know, change isn't something that happens overnight, and it's not in a straight line. It happens in stages. And what I've discovered is that it needs to start with an intention, which then alters our behaviors, which then becomes a habit, and eventually it's simply who we are. And this framework has carried me through the past few years of transformation, and it's still guiding me now as I dream into, what's next for me. So step one is all about the intention. Everything begins with it. The good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, choosing fear itself is an intention, right? So for me, intention came a few years ago when I realized so many parts of my life weren't working. And as I mentioned, I was holding beliefs about myself that kept me small. My boundaries with people close to me weren't strong. And I was in a relationship that I knew wasn't right. And I was stuck in a real kind of small scarcity mindset. And I mean, let's face it, that was a lot to look at. And I won't lie, it was terrifying. But I also knew that I had only two choices, and that was to either stay in the pain of the familiar or step into the discomfort of change. And so when I think back, this is how messed up my beliefs were. I remember saying to a friend, "You buy the lottery ticket because your luck's better than mine." I mean, what kind of a mindset is that? So my shift began slowly and quietly. And I remember there was this kind of like whisper in my solar plexus that said, I want more for myself. I can't keep living like this. And that intention was the seed. And what followed brought more happiness and more freedom than I could have imagined in that scary moment, to the point that a newer intention is taking root. The dream now of living on an island in a home that feels deeply aligned with who I'm becoming. So that's step one. Step two is all about behavior. So intentions come alive when we take action. And for me, that looked like some pretty uncomfortable first steps, like saying no to some of the things I used to say yes to and walking away from the relationship that wasn't working and beginning to trust myself with money instead of acting out of fear. And today, with my Salt Spring Island dream, the behaviors look different, but they're just as real. In fact, I'm visiting Salt Spring Island this coming weekend and researching properties and envisioning the kind of community I want to create and really aligning my work so it supports that dream. Every behavior I have, I feel, is an investment in the life that I'm shaping for myself. So then we go on to step three. It becomes a habit. So over time, those small behaviors, they turn into habits. Setting boundaries now for me is like second nature. And I'm choosing myself over relationships or situations that drain me. And as I do all of this, I realize that what I'm doing is building new habits of trust and believing that the resources and opportunities will show up. And then I live in a way that matches the life I want on a Gulf island, even before it physically arrives. And these habits, they hold up that vision until it becomes strong enough to stand on its own. And that brings us to the final step of it's simply who we are. So here's the magic. One day I realized I'm not trying anymore. It's just who I am. I'm no longer the woman clinging to scarcity or afraid to speak up for myself. I'm a woman who trusts, who creates, who dreams bigger instead of smaller. And now that my habits are my lifestyle, I'm sometimes honestly astounded of what shows up in my life and the shifts that have taken place. Because here's how I see it. I create the intention, then behave as if it's already happening by building the habits of the person living that life. So I'm envisioning, I'm researching, I'm planning, I'm reaching out to people who can help me, and then I'm refining it. And that's how transformation unfolds for me. And the greatest part to it, none of it has to be difficult. I don't need to chase it or work harder. I just need to stay committed to it. And these are the basic truths. Fear shrinks you, and curiosity and courage expand you. So if you feel called, take what we've talked about today, your intentions, your behaviors, your habits, and just start leaning into them and step off the edge. Stretch your comfort zone and watch yourself become the person you were too scared to be. And I can say with certainty, one day you'll look around you and you'll realize you aren't that fearful person living in a small life anymore. You've grown bigger and braver and more expansive than you ever thought possible. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening while you walk, while you drive, fold laundry, or hide in the bathroom for 5 minutes for yourself. Thank you for your courage and your curiosity and your willingness to live life on the brink.
Thanks for joining. And I want you to know that this isn't just a podcast. This is a movement. So share this information with your friends and let's go, ladies.